This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Green Flash Glass. The Green Flash Glass logo is a symbol of quality because they take pride in their craftsmanship and stand behind their products. With over 15 years of experience and an amazing team of artists, Green Flash Glass backs up their work with 100% quality guarantee, friendly responsive customer service, and high-quality products at an affordable price. For more info, go to greenflashglass.com. That's greenflashglass.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is sponsored by Mountain Glass Arts. Since 2002, Mountain Glass has continued to bring you great customer service with a knowledgeable and friendly staff. As one of the nation's premier borosilicate glass supply companies, they strive to cover all your glass needs. For more information on their history, as well as the up-to-date sales, check out their site, www.mountainglass.com. What is going on, all you crazy-ass people out there? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 57. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am pumped up to bring you guys this show. I'm here to inspire, educate, entertain. With 17 plus years almost of experience here, along with all the other artists I bring on board and their experiences and trials and tribulations and failures and successes, I hope that you all get something out of this show, including helping yourself become better artists, better business people, better human beings. Whatever you take out of this, I am just humbled just to be here to do this for you guys. So, again, thank you for tuning in. Today's guest we have is Karl Termini, being our early in the week Monday show. This is our guest featured artist show, and Karl Termini, as you guys probably hear and recognize, Termini Tubes is his company's name, and you guys will definitely enjoy this episode. We get into a lot of fun chatter about his trips over the world and to the Netherlands, and also coming back where he's now resides in Ithaca, New York, and so we had a lot of fun with that. And he has lots of other folks that he refers to in the show, which I will have all of their links and what have you on the show notes that you guys can just click on, and it'll bring you to their Instagrams and whatever else. So super pumped to bring you guys this show, and thank you for tuning in. This coming up, we will be going over this week. I am now done with my demonstration down at LSD Gallery. Had a lot of fun. Thank you everybody who came out and saw me and shook hands and kissed babies and enjoyed the hors d'oeuvres and what have you, and saw the new glass I dropped. And if anybody out there that came in and purchased stuff, thank you for that as well. And to Courtney and Clint for hosting the show and having me down there for my 4th year. It's always a pleasure and an honor to come down to South Florida. It's kind of my home away from home. So, again, thank you everybody for coming down and supporting that. Clint and Courtney will be on this week on Friday's show. They will be chit-chatting about their beginnings and how they got into our industry in terms of the retail side. And along with also, they both are experimenting with glass themselves. So it's a fun conversation. Hope you guys will enjoy that. And LSD Gallery is now officially our November smoke shop of the month. You guys can go to their Instagram, which is at LSD Gallery. And you can also go to their website, which is lsdgallery.com. And they ship all over the world. And we will have an exclusive discount for you guys that will be coming up on their show that we will be announcing. So stay tuned for that. And again, thank you for coming on board. Nothing really for the announcements today, except for Mountain Glass, our sponsors, monthly sale for November. Definitely just go to mountainglass.com, click on their sales and their monthly sales, and they have all that in there. 35% off North Star First right now, and also 20% off Double Helix soft glass rods. And then also Green Flash Glass is offering 10% off sales right now. It's they're a wholesale-only company, so if you guys have a retail store or have a business of some sort that you do retail from wholesale, you can contact them. Their number is on their website, and just go to greenflashglass.com. And also, they also always offer $1,000 orders, free shipping. So definitely jump on board for that. So again, if you guys want to join our newsletter, I am running a thank you kind of deal I'm giving you guys for helping out this show, which all the info and details are in our newsletter that comes out with every single episode that I post now 3 days a week. So just go to wiseguyradio.com. That's WYZGUY radio.com. Subscribe to our newsletter and get on board with that. And also sometimes we do exclusive giveaways on there that other artists offer, like we did with Joe Scar. So super excited. And so thank you for tuning in. You guys enjoy this episode. Any questions, comments, or anything else you want to leave for me, please just leave it at info@wiseguyradio.com. And again, go to iTunes and or Stitcher, whichever platform you listen to the show on. Leave me a 5-star review would be fantastic. And also leave a comment in there too, which you guys, if you get the newsletter, you'll see why I'm asking that. So once again, y'all, love you very much. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy this episode with Karl Termini of Termini Tubes. And so we will go from there. Much love. Take it easy, y'all. Peace. What is going on, Karl? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been fun trying to get a hold of you. I know we're all busy out there in this world, and it's awesome to have you on. It's thank you for your time, for sure.
Oh, no worries, man. Thanks for your interest in having me on.
Yeah, man. I followed your work, dude, for a long time now, and it's definitely always been intriguing to me how, especially through your pictures, which I want to get into later on and kind of talk about your photography. But before we kind of get too out of whack here, if you want to give us a little brief intro on how you got started and who introduced you to the flame.
So without incriminating myself, it would be very hard. So I'm gonna try not to. When I was a kid in the '90s, I used to have some things mailed from the Humboldt area to New Jersey. And they always weigh a certain amount, and you wouldn't want them to weigh that amount for the mail. So some gentlemen out there would always include like some color-changing glass in those packages, and I was just mesmerized by it. I was more excited about the glass than I was what else was with the packages. And this, it just blew my mind. So when I was 16, I used to skateboard all the time, but I unfortunately got run over by a car.
Whoa.
And I couldn't really, I got titanium from my knee to my ankle through the actual bone, and there's no bone in the middle. So it kind of made skateboarding no longer accessible. BMX riding was also something I had to step back from because, if you can't really re-break the leg or there's nothing to hold the leg together.
Yeah, fuck.
So I needed a hobby, and the pipes had always spiked my interest. And I just set out to figure out how to do it. And, I did my research. I got a very basic torch and the gases and pieced together what I thought tools I would need, but there weren't any real resources available yet. So I basically just kind of winged it. Probably took me 2 weeks to figure out what hose for what gas and how to turn everything on. And my first shop was a spare bedroom that had carpet on the floors, no ventilation. And so essentially I got into glass because of my exposure to that bit of the culture from the Humboldt area via my satellite, living in New Jersey.
Yeah. Interesting. Heck yeah. So what, I guess at the very beginning, what were you making? Just making spoons and some simple production stuff?
At the very beginning, like in the 90s, I was literally like turning the torch on, kind of standing as far back as possible and like putting glass in the torch and just watching what happens.
Yeah, I know what that means.
I had no exposure to anyone. It wasn't like someone's like, hey, come over and I'll show you how to do this. It was kind of like, all right, reinventing the wheel. So the first couple years were pretty slow. And then basically, how it was back then, we were all kind of paranoid about what we were doing. So sure, I made things that looked like pipes or could be used as pipes, but they sucked. I mean, they sucked in a way that was almost like an art, how bad they were. But I had a lot of friends that wanted to support me, so I was able to sell the suckiness and keep moving forward. And, and word of mouth travels. People in your area will be like, oh, I know this guy like 2 hours from you who also sucks really bad. You guys should get together and just suck it up. And I was like, that's great. So I started to meet other people in that like very rudimentary beginning stages of glasswork and travel around and just go be horrible together. It was pretty cool. But then I started to meet some guys that had a scientific background or went to Salem, places like that, and they had more of a grasp on it, and that's when it started to really open up for me.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, it's kind of fun, man, especially when you get around, because I was just kind of the same way. I'm self-taught I started back in 99, and, before YouTube and the internet was kind of just getting around, and, stumbling and falling and breaking shit and cutting myself and burning myself every day, and, that's the only way you can really learn on your own, at least. It's interesting now being around artists that have been doing this for, say, 5 years and that have almost have skill levels more so than what I have. It's kind of interesting and intriguing to see it.
It's awesome, it at least makes you know that all that effort you put in for those very, very, very minor baby steps, it didn't go to waste, because now, we're helping the next generation get so much more advanced, and that's the whole point of it. It's like a universal consciousness for glass.
Yeah, man, I agree.
I see guys that are working 2 to 3 years, and I'm just like, wow, that's awesome. And the same thing goes for skateboarding. I remember being a criminal as a skateboarder the same way I was a criminal as a pipe maker. And now we paved the way for like a really bright future, and that's something to be proud about.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When I do, my wife's a teacher, and I do the Great American Teaching every year. Next week I'll be doing it this year. And I always give that explanation to the kids. It's like thinking about, the skateboarders, and you guys see these guys, they're pulling off these tricks, but you don't see all the falls and breaking bones and scraping their knees, and all you see is the final product. And I think with this process, with this show, but also now with YouTube and everything else, it's really given, not only people in the art world, but also the connoisseurs and the collectors really an opportunity to see truly what goes involved, to make these pieces that we're making.
For sure.
It's fascinating. So at what point in time did you get into lathe work?
So I was in Jersey until the early 2000s, and I moved. I decided that I didn't really want to die in the same town I grew up, so I sold my house, and I was on vacation. I met a woman in the Netherlands, and I went home, sold my house, and moved there a week later. Wow. So I was kind of there just trying to like survive and blow glass in a foreign country illegally for the first bit. And so over the time, there was a place where I'd have to go to get clear glass. And it was a scientific place, and we paid top dollar for it. It was crazy expensive. But there were several guys in there, and every time I'd go, I'd be like, holy shit, this is where it all happens. This is where the actual knowledge in glass is. So I really wanted to do my best to make a good impression on these gentlemen. And, so I brought to them colored glass and American, basic pipe making skills and how to use color, and slowly but surely they opened up to me and were really excited, because they'd only seen maybe blue from Corning before. And it was an opportunity to kind of break down a cultural wall, and especially an opportunity to overcome my not having anyone to blow glass with. So at first, a couple of the guys just pretended they didn't speak English, and I was like, all right. So I would go in, I'd get glass. They would kind of lift an eye at me, but I think they just thought I was a criminal, because most Americans living in the Netherlands at that time were involved with cannabis or things like that, and so Dutch people have a natural understanding that if you're there for that reason. Right. So basically, over time, I finally got a few of the guys to speak to me, Hans Meijer being one of them, an older gentleman, Harry, who was, I guess, kind of like the head guy, and Geert, who was the owner of this place. And, yeah, we just became friends, and every time I'd go, I'd just silently observe for 10 or 20 minutes those guys doing the most incredible things on these machines. And every little bit of knowledge that I could pick up walking in or out just to buy raw materials, I stored it in my brain. And then Hans and I actually ended up becoming really close friends and starting a pipe company called SNOB Water Pipes. And I would do the color stuff, and he would do the assembly and use all his amazing knowledge that he had at the time and still has to put the things together. So we brought that on a couple occasions to the Cannabis Cup, and we won that first and second place. And I never physically got to work on the lathe, but I got exposed to it there. Yeah. And then from there, I got back to the States sometime in 2010, and I just worked really hard, got a machine, and then instantly put all of the knowledge I had amassed to work, and worked day and night for years
Yeah.
until now. So
Fascinating. What kind of stuff were they making when you were first there watching them?
I know a lot of the terms in Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So, just scientific apparatus, but I don't know the actual American names for a lot of it, or English rather. But they would do everything from small little measurement things for the gas industry, for the drilling industry, all the way up to special advanced projects for the European Space Agency kind of stuff. They were all across the board, like a 4-person extreme specialty scientific glass shop. So it wasn't a production shop. It was a shop where they solved problems for people that needed technical apparatus to, fulfill experiments and do things like that. So they were really on the forefront of what was happening.
Wow, that's awesome. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's some serious exposure, especially seeing the masters in a sense that are doing that, and to be able to absorb that and then go home and put it in action, man. Yeah, props to you. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, well, I was really lucky. It took a while to break down the language barrier and the wall, but I guess I started to even learn Dutch to overcome the fact that they were pretending they didn't speak English.
Which I'm sure in turn they respected you for that as well.
Yeah, in the end, we all wound up like a big family, and when times were really hard, there'd always be scrap glass for me, and they really started to see me as like a wonderful novelty to have around.
Mm-hmm.
And they made sure that at no time I would be without a tool I needed or without glass I needed. And I wasn't working for them or earning money for them. It was more like I was their fun American pet.
That's funny. The little side kick in there.
Yeah.
So is that company still up and running, or did you guys kind of dissolve it?
No. Oh, you mean SNOB water pipes?
Yeah.
So Hans kept it going when I moved back to the States. And he just recently took the leap of faith and moved to the south of France to be an independent glassblower.
Wow.
So for over 20 years, he's been the lead guy in the factory there. But he finally, through, I guess it's probably my fault, he saw the difference between working at the factory and being independent, and he finally just said, you know what, I fucking deserve this, and I'm going to go for it. So he moved down to the south of France, and if anyone wants to be awesome, they should buy his stuff, because living and working in the Netherlands is hard enough. Now moving to another country where oxygen cost is even higher, I think he pays 120 to 140 euros for a T-tank of oxygen, which, I mean, we both know that's about 20 times more expensive than we pay for liquid here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So if anyone wants to be awesome and check out some of the work Hans is doing on his limited equipment while he gets started, he's at SNOB Glass on Instagram, and yeah, it would be awesome if you could support him.
Yeah, man, I'll put links to his stuff on the show notes for sure.
I truly owe so much to him for the exposure. I gave him color and techniques in color, and he showed me how to go back and relearn everything that I was doing the correct way. So I love him to death.
Yeah, that's important to get that strong foundation. I see so many kids that are starting, and it's like, I kind of wonder where they even got started. Some people are better off learning on their own instead of learning from somebody with bad habits.
Well, man, it's a conscious effort. If you can see your shortcomings, you can overcome them. But a lot of people let ego get in the way of self-observation. So for me, like every single day, I'm like, oh wow, there's a little area that I can improve, and I'd be a lot more comfortable if I could work out the kinks in that, and that helps me get better as a glassblower. But that's a certain amount of maturity. When people are getting into things based on how they'll be observed socially, like, oh, this will, increase my social stance, so to speak, in my friends group to be a glassblower, and they can often overlook the true joy in it, which is the understanding of a material and the learning to work with it and to allow it to teach you small lessons in life. A lot of guys go right to being a glassblower.
No, dude, I totally agree. Like I try to, it's not easy, but I try to live with the whole philosophy of being on center. You know, because if our glass, especially on a lathe, man, if you're not on center, bro, that shit is, you're fucked. And life is the same way. If you're not on center, man, it's like it is so easy to just have a shitty life because you have no center, you know.
Well, the funny thing is, all it takes is just realizing that each step is as important as like the money shot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So it's all in the hips, and you got to take your time.
Yeah, well, you know, like you said, you know, the whole luck idea, and I believe in luck, but I also believe in more opportunity and taking opportunity and actually doing something with it, which you did. I mean, you took this huge opportunity, that exposure you had, and then went home and just went to work and figured the shit out on your own, but with the knowledge that you came home with.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I've even brought guys from the States over there and like brought them in the facility that like did it all for me, just that being there, and they're all just like too busy focused on smoking pot to really look around and like be like, whoa, holy shit, this is like, you know, this is the birthplace of all knowledge and skill. Is like, you know, you can easily get a torch and just, you know, learn how to do like one thing in the pipe world, and then allow that to cripple you and make it that's your prime identity. Or you can just be like, whoa, everything is available, all this knowledge is available, and I just need to see it and see the worth in it before I can learn to overcome these things and make it my own skill set.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, because kind of my mission with this show too is like, you know, the opportunity we have as artists, and especially right now in the glass field, as, you know, laws are changing and the industry grows, especially legalities wise, you know, we all have this opportunity to really live our dreams and the lifestyles that we want to live, whether you want to make $100 million or make $100, you know, it's whatever, how much effort you put into it. But again, it's the opportunity to figure out, hey, what dreams do I have, and how can I take these skill sets that I have and make money and create that lifestyle, even if it's just to have the ability to work for yourself, to just pay your bills, maybe put a little bit away for savings. But, you know, opportunity knocks and you got to walk through that door sometimes. But again, some doors open up that you shouldn't walk through, you know, same time.
You know, you do this for as long as we both have.
Yeah.
You know, you go through many, many, many changes with it. At times it's something you're proud about. At times you question why you're doing it. You know, most of the reason I moved to the Netherlands was the Operation Pipe Dreams thing.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that.
I like was so proud. I'm like a high school dropout. Here I am, I own houses, and I make money with glass blowing, and then all of a sudden I'm a criminal. And I'm like, this is horrible. I don't want to live like this. So I figured the logical next step would be, let me move to the Netherlands where pot's totally accepted. And then I get there and it's like, oh, pot's totally accepted, but no one gives a shit about glass pipes. So, you know, whatever. It was still it was a brave and noble change to make. But yeah, we go through cycles where it's like, yeah, I'm super grateful to have this job. And then you'll be like, oh, why did I do this to myself?
Yeah, bro, I completely agree. It's like I've been working at Disney now for almost 4 years now as a glass artist over there. And just last year I went to become seasonal, more or less part-time, and it's still like I refer to it as like my ex-girlfriend that I just can't say no to because I know that opportunity is there. I love the gig. I love the, you know, being there, but it's like I know it's an hour and a half one way, so I got a 3-hour round trip. I have a 15-hour day basically when I'm there, and I can make 3 times the amount of money home that I do there. But again, the stability's there. There's opportunity for to be on stage and performing, and you know, it's this back and forth conflict that I've always had. It's like, you know, like you're saying, it's like sometimes I question why the hell am I even wasting my time doing this? But then, why am I not doing this? You know, it's a struggle.
It's really nice to be part of a tradition, isn't it?
Oh yeah, dude, it is absolutely.
And that's something, you know. Are you a parent?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that it's very nice to have those photos on the wall when your kids get older to be proud and show them.
Yeah.
So I can't blame you for wanting to make that commute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. There was days where I was doing it like 5 to 7 days in a row. I was making that back and forth drive, but you know, I took advantage of the time on the road, listened to podcasts and books on tape, and educated myself, and you know, in business and life and everything else, and being a better parent. And you know, it's it's like you're saying, you know, it's these opportunities and the situations we get put in, and what do we do with them, you know?
For sure, man.
So at what point in time did you start the whole Termini brand?
So I got back to the States, like I said, in 2010, and my first project turned out I used a word that might have been less politically correct than it was when I left the States, but I called the first line retarded. Because I figured, like, you know, why do you buy a fancy glass piece? Like, what's your goal? You want to achieve a certain state of mind, and that was how I was labeling it. But it turned out that it kind of offended some people. So I was like, all right, so maybe that's not the name I want to have for a glass company. And a friend of mine was very successful in the clothing industry, and on a phone call, he's like, man, Carl, you should just use your name because it's like the only thing that you own. You don't have to take any effort to own your name. You don't have to own it geographically or regionally. You just own it. It's your name, and your name's pretty cool. It's already an Italian name. You know, it means the end in Italian. It's recognizable. He's like, so go with your name, and I was like, all right, I'll go with my name, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like having my name be my glass name because, you know, the sooner or later the whole need to have an alias was going to go away anyway, and you know, it's cool to be proud of who I am and not hide behind it. So
yeah, man, I agree because I'm in the same way. Like, and once I got that gig at Disney, I kind of erased my business in a sense and just started from scratch to rebrand myself and really figure out what I was going to go in this new path. So I did the same thing. I was going by Firefall for like 7-8 years, which is kind of my stupid incognito name, and then and it worked. Like, it was a cool brand. We had a logo, the whole 9 yards. But then, you know, my last name's Borgholzer, and it means wood castle. And I was like, well, how easy is that for people to say Borgholzer all the damn time? You know,
that's a tough one.
No, it's not easy to do. So, but it still has this tradition in my heritage of my family coming out of France and whatever. But so I started using the whole J. Michael thing, and it just kind of stuck with it. And some people call me Michael, some people call me Jay, it's whatever, you know. So it's just kind of, but like you're saying, it's awesome to be able to have our name as part of our work. You know, I think it's important. You know, and especially, you know, seeing some of the other artists out there. You know, the Joe Peters and those cats they're going by their name. They didn't have to come up with an alias because, you know, timing wise, I guess, as well when they came into the industry. But, you know, still neat to have that as a brand, and again too, like, you know, having that influence from a friend who's a fashion designer. I've recently in the past couple of years kind of looked at my lines as, in a sense, as a fashion. And it is design and doing seasonal, you know, brands and seasonal lines of work based on, you know, fall, spring, winter, whatever, to change it up, but also to have an actual line where you have like a release of this line. This is the spring line, you know, kind of deal.
Right on.
It's kind of interesting shit. So, I guess, you know, with your work and you know, getting into photography and stuff, do you do all your photography and everything yourself?
Oh, sure, man. I have like a proper camera, but I have to be honest. I'm often lazy and just use my phone.
Dude, the iPhones man, the phone cameras are amazing.
Well, it's just more or less like, I don't know. If I'm gonna, you know, I'll take good photos of most of the things that I'm proud of, and then like try to keep them on the Mac. But if I'm just trying to, you know, if I'm doing food or hanging out with my dog, it's hard to lug around like a cool camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just snap them out on the iPhone.
Hell yeah. So most of your pictures on your website, are those professionally with a camera, or is that with your phone?
That on the website, some of those are my phone.
Hell yeah.
It used to be like I did proper photos, but I got rid of all the items from when I was like super motivated web entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And now a lot of those I just grabbed off Instagram or my phone. Basically, like, I do all my own work, so at any moment I'll be like, all right, I don't want to make this anymore, I'll just get rid of it, I'll come up with a new product, and then I'll just pop it up there. So it's a lot easier when you don't have to like train staff to keep up with your random changes and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I just, you know, kind of flush it out and start afresh whenever I'm bored with it.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, I agree. And so do you do like all your website design and all that yourself too?
Oh, I use like one of the, I pay them enough money, so I'm not going to plug them, but I use one of the pre-existing template, but the more evolved like web services.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's all right, you know, you get charged a percentage to sell your own stuff on a website you pay to have, so that's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's just the cost of doing business.
Yeah, you get charged whether you use PayPal or whatever, you got to pay it somehow or other.
Yeah, I also I don't use PayPal or Square or any of those companies because of, well, frankly, they hate pipe making and they've all shut me down. So I use a proper merchant account, and I pay a slightly higher percentage based on the fact that I work in the black arts, so to speak, but it's not that bad.
Yeah. I had a company out of Colorado. The same thing was a merchant service I dealt with for a long time. And because they were out of Colorado, bro, they were fucking awesome. Like, they were like, okay, we don't give a shit. And
Well,
I was actually kind of surprised.
it's art,
Yeah, exactly.
Especially like, it's not. I'm not like selling as seen on TV. I'm not running an escort service. I'm not doing things that they have to worry about an excessive chargeback thing. I'm a fucking artist. People that buy my stuff, well, I'm a craftsman, but the people that buy my stuff want it. They're not like buying it impulsively on a whim. They thought about it. They contacted me. They buy it. They don't return it because, it's something I'm making for them directly. So you would think it'd be easier to have a merchant account, and I think in the future it will be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, my web guy, him and I have been talking about how nice it would be if we could start a merchant service for the industry, so that there's nothing to worry about. But then there's we've looked into it, and there's a shitload of loopholes you got to jump through. It's not even worth it.
Well, if you have a friend that's got a substantial amount of liquid assets and they want to become a bank for you and take the risk, I'm sure you could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. So something you just said too, which I found interesting. You stopped saying artist and you said craftsman, and there's always been this argument in the whole glass world, whether you're Dale Chihuly or whatever, whether this is an art we're doing or whether it's a craft. And it's like, I guess it depends on where you're selling your work, how you view yourself, and marketing and all that other stuff. But I kind of agree with what you're saying.
So art, right? It happens.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just set out and every day create art. Art gives you like a feeling. It creates an emotion. It it has parameters that I would have a hard time creating those parameters into every single thing I make. But art's also a discipline. And so I look at what I do as my life is definitely the life of an artist. I have no net. I have no security. I do what's right to me morally, and that happens to be how I make money. Once in a while, my craft, I stumble into art, right? But I can't reproduce it over and over because then it's not really art anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at myself as a craftsman who occasionally stumbles into some artsy shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm in the same boat, dude. I agree. I think if we did it as artists and, every day we made one thing, we'd probably only be able to do it a couple days a week. We'd be so exhausted emotionally because of the amount of energy it takes to be an artist and that creative session. Because I play music and I draw and everything else besides the glass, and it's like if I put in a 60-hour week on the torch, I have no energy for anything, much less playing my guitar or drawing pictures. It kind of sucks sometimes. So
yeah, whatever. Sometimes what you make feels like more justified than others, but we all have bills, so
yeah.
Some days I'm an artist, some days I'm a craftsman.
Hell yeah! So, do you still do any kind of actual? Is your components you're making for your lathe work? Are they all done on a torch by hand, or do you do everything on a lathe now?
Oh, I do a lot of stuff by hand. Basically, it's job specific.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to spend. I try to divvy the time up half. When you see any of the color stuff, that's all prepared by hand, and it's all brought to a level which I can then put it onto the lathe and go with it. But it's a lot easier to do that by hand because you have more than just up and down gravity. You have a lot more control.
Mm-hmm.
You can manipulate glass very effectively by hand. The lathe is really an amazing tool to have too, but you have to strike a balance. If you really want to be able to create something to the best of your potential with the equipment you have, it's always going to be a split between the machine and your body, because there's certain things you can't ask of your body and there's certain things you can't ask of the lathe.
Yeah,
and actually there's certain things you can't ask of each individual lathe,
Yeah.
So it's a matter of having the right tools for the right job and then allocating the skills where they need to go.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it's so true. Because I know, I've gotten into some bigger items lately where I don't have use bench rollers ever, and it was too much, physically to continuously work on these larger pieces. Where I was like, man, I need to get a lathe, for that kind of stuff.
I use several different kinds of bench rollers, so not the traditional ones like you're thinking, which would be like 2 yokes or 2 skateboard bearings or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
but I use a lot of flat bench rollers,
Okay.
which you would use for tooling or preparation. So I have those in 4 or 5 different configurations for what I do, and they're a vital tool. You could be really skilled and still use the. I mean, honestly, I couldn't do the level of work that I do without all the tools that I use. So bench rollers, amazing. Flat bench rollers. As far as the other ones, like for big work, supporting the weight of them, those are awesome too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know the flat ones you're talking about. I've seen them. They're nice. I definitely need to invest in something like that.
All the ones that I use are basically vintage ones that are hand-me-downs from like people in the scientific field.
Nice.
So I encourage you not to buy new if you ever look to get them, and try to source some old ones.
Okay.
Because there's nothing better than the old equipment. It's just, I don't care if they've been in service for 50 years, they're still probably awesome.
Yeah, nice and broken in and.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of them, they're made out of casted material, casted metal, and there's no one investing in casting anything nowadays. It's just not the way we do things anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they have a sturdiness, they have a trueness, they have a vintage feel to them, and I just like to keep things in the shop when working, because like every little thing I have is like an heirloom, and I wonder, like, I have a rod rest that's 70 years old, and every little thing that I keep is really special to me. So the longer that I can keep an old tool in service, the more special that tool becomes to me.
Hell yeah, that's too cool, man. That's awesome. So when you're coming up with your ideas for your lines, like, is it just kind of something that just pops in your head and just kind of on a whim? You see something and it's like, oh shit, I could do it that way, or is it? Do you have like inspiration?
I would say that every major advancement that I've ever made in my own work was through the observation of a mistake and the overcoming of the mistake. Like, you have to recognize your faults. And every single time I make a mistake, I look at it as a wonderful new opportunity to progress in my field. On the days where I don't ever have mistakes, I wonder if I ever tried hard enough. It's good to, like, all right, for instance, I had this demo just recently at Prism Glass, and I assumed that there was going to be things like problems with it. So I intentionally ran through it several times, and just so I could encounter any mistakes that I would encounter. Because, the people were driving out to see it. And then when I got there were all these parameters I didn't even think of. And those mistakes actually opened up ideas that I hadn't yet had. I had to, like, overcome these parameters and do things differently. And it totally changed how I looked at things. And now I'm already working on new ideas that were forged from that experience. Because you observe and you overcome. And if you don't overcome, you think about what you could have done better. And next thing you know, your work evolves and it changes, and you're armed with that new skill set.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, of course, I try to design them, but most of every major advancement I've ever made that wasn't shown to me by someone I admire or respect was definitely like overcoming a mistake. That second where, like, you feel like the world hates you and you're about to lose something, and then you realize it doesn't hate you; it's just leading you in a direction that you needed to go. So
yeah, the whole happy accidents, they're my favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or like when a friend walks in, they're like, "Hey, are you making this?" And I'm like, "No, I wasn't, but I am now."
Oh yeah, that awesome ability for someone to look at something that you've seen a million times from a different angle and totally change the way you see it. It's a wonderful little thing too.
Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff. So how do you go about marketing your work besides social media and the websites?
Shameless self-promotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, basically, social media is a godsend. If I could, I'd give, like, Zuckerberg a hand job, and whoever owns Instagram.
Yeah, I feel you,
dude.
Like,
seriously, without them, I'd have shit, because I would just be the same person. Like, before that, I had, like, you'd have to, like, try to do something with the Cannabis Cup or High Times, or, just by word of mouth. But social media has really, really taken us from, like, adventurous, creative types to, like, business people.
mm-hmm.
We all just were like, all right, here's a blueprint, and all we kind of have to do is go through this process that's already been laid out, and all of a sudden we have these businesses. We had everything else ready to go already, but social media has really given us the opportunity to get it out to people. And a lot of guys are like, oh, I hate Facebook, or I hate this. I'm like, I fucking love it. I will totally give those guys hand jobs if they want them.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
I'll just wash my hands and feel grateful.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And it's cool too, man, because like, you know, I always wonder, like, with our industry, like how big the community, say on Instagram alone, is compared to, say, like fashion or painting or any other art field or music. Because it's like, it seems like the pipe community, the followers, the connoisseurs, the artists, the smoke shops, it's so big. It's like we've taken this full advantage. And you know, with Instagram, it was kind of it's everybody was kind of like, oh, this is kind of underground, whatever. And then it blew up. I still kind of am concerned at times with, you know, laws and issues and stuff like that. But still, it's like I kind of wonder at times how big our community is, because you could look at hashtags like, you know, successful stoner, for instance, and there's like 3 million hashtag posts just with that hashtag. You know, it's like.
Well, for instance, so Facebook, I used to have a Termini Tubes page, but it wasn't set up as a business page.
Mm-hmm.
So I got all my business from that. And then one day I went to open it, and it's like, oh, so no, we took your page away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, no, it'll be bad, but it won't be that bad. Oh my God, it was so bad. Like crickets.
Oh, dude.
I went from 6 months back order to like I didn't remember how to get in touch with human beings without Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was like it felt horrible, but at the same time it was so liberating. It was exactly what I needed, because I was just so, all right, you do this your whole life. You travel around the world, you never have shit. You know, always like your main focus is to keep working, get oxygen, get materials, survive, eat food. And then, like, all of a sudden you, like, have this product line and you're making money, like actual money, like money that your grandparents would be like, oh, he's got a good job. And then, you know, but you get addicted to it, and you get lazy, and your work shows it. So I like, all right, so I have these 7 or 8 items, and I can sell them endlessly, 6 month back order endlessly. I'm proud of them. It's a great product. Every time I make it better. But you get to a point where you can't make it any better. And then you stop caring. All you want to do is like get that order out. Even though you've made it to the best of your ability, your creative process dies because you're so satiated with wealth acquisition and buying new equipment, and you're just feeling proud like a successful business person. And all of a sudden that drive that was always there, that you never realized was always there, is slowly being eroded away by the comfort of income.
Mm-hmm.
And once it just like vanished in like a day, I was miserable, but it only took a short amount of time for me to be like, whoa, what a gift this is. Here's my creativity back again. Here's my desire to get better. And like, it was like the blindfold got pulled off again. And I was so grateful that Facebook took my page away. It released me back into the world of creativity, and it was awesome. So you got to just roll with the punches and take every opportunity as, you know, just an opportunity to go forward and make something different of yourself, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And it's also interesting too, because with social media, it's a whole different creative outlet, you know, and how to market yourself and how to sell things. You know, with these new computer algorithms, some of the shit I don't even understand, but I'm still learning the process. You know, like there was hundreds of companies that had to close their doors that were making millions of dollars weekly that made shit because Facebook changed their algorithms and closed pages, and people lost, you know, they had to lay off employees and everything. But as an artist, like you're saying, you know, it's like that whole conflict of being an artist or being a business person. And I like to use the term artistic entrepreneur because of the idea of being an artist and be able to sell your work. But like you're saying, you get a little lazy sometimes because you get so used to the money coming in, and all of a sudden you get slapped in the face and it's a fucking wake up.
Well, you know, it was, don't get me wrong, like I deserved to finally have money coming in. Like I did it my whole life, and I always did it as if, you know, every day I had to get better, and, you know, I was really proud of it. And when the money started coming in, it didn't really feel like winning the lottery. It felt like, holy shit, I'm finally succeeding. But it's quite easy to like get real used to that real quick.
Yeah.
And then you know, it was a wonderful thing, both when the money was coming in like that and when I had to get creative again. So everything was a great opportunity. Now, like, I realize on my Instagram, the same thing could happen, right? At any moment that can happen. And I don't even think about that. What I think about mostly is like, all right, there's a lot of young, influenceable people that follow my Instagram. And my big thing is like, I want to promote an awesome lifestyle. I don't want my Instagram to be 18-year-old girls in their underwear, smoking pipes and like people drinking like purple shit in styrofoam cups and the newest Air Jordans. I don't give a shit about any of that. So like I realize I have this audience and I have this social responsibility to at least show the best style of life living that I can offer. So it's a great opportunity for me to introduce people to like organic gardening and like sustainable living through plant-based diet and how to cook and how to make a proper cocktail, like how to do stuff, how to just not just do one thing excessively over and over again, and that be smoking or whatever.
Yep.
After living in the Netherlands, you kind of get burned out on the like promoting that, and I just refuse to. I want people to like see my Instagram as my best effort to highlight the things in life that are important to me, and hopefully that can spread some of that to some influenceable minds,
Yeah, bro, that's beautiful. I'm in the same boat. Like I love when I do like batches of juice that I make, and I love posting my pyramid of my jars, and like I put my recipe on there, like, hey, you guys could try this. This will save your life. I mean, literally, and I agree with what you're saying 100%, because like again, this show is kind of helping people out there that not sure what to do with this availability that they have now to create an income through their artistic creativity. And if we can help, like you're saying, if you can help show them a kind of a way to go about it, and don't have to waste your money on bullshit, like make a difference in the world, show people how to live a healthy lifestyle, but have a fucking fun life. If you want to go travel to Europe and go backpack for 2 weeks because you worked your ass off for 6 months and now you have a chunk of change and you can go spend it something, show that off to people, not bragging or anything with ego, but showing like, hey, this is fucking awesome. We're on this earth to do this stuff, not to fucking, like you're saying, sit around and take bong tokes all day and waste your fucking time.
Well, man, I mean, I would say that some of the greatest progressions in my life were the result of that period of life where I sat around doing that all the time. But it's just, I don't know, it's cool. Like, it makes me happy, like, when I wake up to messages like, hey, you think I could get the recipe for that? Or, hey, my mom's following your Instagram because she's so into what you're doing. And that makes me feel really good because, like, I don't know. It's so easy to succeed when you feed the people the bullshit they want to consume. Like, you could go out there and you could hype up anything people are currently interested and take the easy way out and, like, give them what they want. Feed the animals, so to speak. But it's real hard to, like, change their taste. And that is the true challenge through social media. And it's something that I really enjoy to take part in. And, like, a lot of people are like, you could see it. I'll get, like, a bunch of likes for a glass post. And then I'll post some recipe that I'm, like, super amazed I just thought of. And it'll get, like, 20 likes out of, like, thousands of people.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, right?
But those 20 people really liked it. So fuck it.
Exactly.
I don't care.
I agree, dude.
And if no one wants to see that, they can look the other way. But it can't be too visually unappealing that they're going to unfollow me. And if they do, well, whatever. That's your own choice.
Yeah, and that's the one person that you didn't need in your tribe to follow.
No, I honestly, I don't mind either way. But, it is what it is. It's an awesome opportunity to broadcast the best of who you are to the world. And the cool thing about it is, if you really know me as a human being and you follow my Instagram, you realize that it's actually me. Like, that's me. Minus, like, I ramble on and on and on. I get to filter that out. But the people that really know me and know my Instagram at least know it's a direct representation of who I really am as a person. And it's not one of these pseudo-internet personalities that a lot of people get off on selling. So.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad I got you on the show, bro, because this is what it's all about. Like, I mean, seriously, my philosophy with what I'm trying to do with the show and get it out there. And when I first heard the show, I was like, is anybody going to even listen to this thing? And I had, like, my first download, and it was like, being a musician playing in front of that one person that's actually listening to my music. And, I'm glad, like I said, dude, I appreciate you being on here because this is the shit that I love to talk about because it's so true. It's like, the freedom that we have as artists, but it also takes discipline and it takes, the right mindset and, having a good heart and not being a dickhead, like there's such a big culture in our community of just assholes out there that are amazing glass artists, but they're just like people that I would not want to hang out with, much less have on this show because I don't want to expose my audience to that type of personality or to that ego or to that thought or, yeah, man. Hats off to you, dude.
There's a lot of that, man, but that doesn't just go for glass blowing. That
Oh,
just goes
no, I agree.
for the human population.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I'm just saying this is because of our niche.
no, I understand. It's hard to, well, it's hard to get out there and meet new people because I'm pretty easygoing and I'm really just grateful. And that's not a huge selling point for doing collabs with people. It's more or less like nowadays it's the name game, and I don't know. I'm kind of understanding that and getting more comfortable with the fact that we are business people, and when working together, we can take both people's strengths and make like an awesome thing. But it doesn't always mean that like your personalities are going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm getting used to it. I understand it's a job.
Yeah.
But you can't, if I only stay with people of the exact same mentality as me, it'll be an awfully boring process.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It's like marrying your twin or something like that. Like my wife was just like me. It would never work,
Yeah.
It's fucking
Or
funny.
maybe it would,
Yeah, I don't know. Might be more narcissistic than anything in the long run.
You would probably have more arguments.
Yeah.
If she was exactly like you.
Yeah, dude, I'd argue with myself enough as it is. I couldn't understand how that would go. Oh, shit. So,
What's next?
yeah, I was gonna ask you something. I was gonna ask you too on this whole note. Oh yeah, it was on the whole gardening stuff. So was that what you're doing at home, or like do you have your own gardens and stuff? Like is that kind of like your outside hobby?
I live with Chuck B. Glass. His Instagram's at Chuck B. Glass, and he's got about 13 acres out here in the country. We got a lake, and we have enough space to ride dirt bikes and grow organic vegetables and pretty much do whatever we want. So it's it's great. We take advantage of the land. If I could just pause for 1 sec, my dog decided to grab the squeaky bone,
Okay.
and I would assume that probably won't go well for internet radio.
Hey, the audience will love it. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm just gonna close my door and put the squeaky bone on the outside. Hold on 1 sec.
Yeah. Man.
So I'm back.
It's all good. Yeah, I've actually got both mine in bed with me right now, sitting here in my studio, just because they'll sit and start playing or get their bone out and drop it, and it's like a freaking anvil being dropped on my floor. It's so loud.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's cool. Like if I play the piano or if I'm in my car and I put the radio on, I can get him to like squeak it to the rhythm. So this is the only time where it's a problem.
Oh, that's too funny. So you are you a reader at all? You like into books and stuff?
Oh, I read a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you into now?
I have to be honest. I used to read a lot more, especially in the Netherlands. I would read like New York Times bestsellers and sci-fi stuff, and I basically read so much of my top 10 authors that I read everything. But I still read a lot. But mostly nowadays, my book collection consists of like cookbooks and herbal dictionaries, like guides to herbal medicine, vegan cookbooks, that sort of thing. More like a research material for just a good living.
Yeah.
So.
Hell yeah! What kind of books or like author-wise were you into before?
Oh, I liked all the Lee Child, Clive Cussler, all that sort of action adventure. Like if it's a boring rainy day, transport yourself to this alternate place where some exciting crap's going down.
Yeah.
And so that sort of stuff. I would read as a release, so to speak.
Nice. Yeah, man. Awesome. All about it, dude. Well, hell yeah, man. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsors, and then it will be time for us to get into the lightning round.
All right.
Cool. It is said that at the very moment the sun sets below the horizon, a flash of green light appears called the green flash. This unique occurrence happens daily, but only seen by a few. Green Flash Glass chose this name to symbolically represent the unique beauty, simplicity, and good feeling experienced when using their product. Unique to the experience at sunset. Uniquely relaxing. GreenFlashGlass.com. All right, man. We're back. So, yeah, dude. So the lightning round consists of 6 questions or so, and all we need is like a 30 to 60 second answer, and you can expound upon them if you'd like, which always happens. And if you're ready, let's do it.
Sure. I'll try.
All right, cool. So the first question I always like to ask, if there is any living glass artist that you have not yet worked with, who is it and why?
Oh, man, I haven't worked with many people because I was always living like pretty much abroad or in areas where there weren't glass blowers. So I would love to work with anyone who essentially has their own identity in glass, you know? Because like a collab is basically taking the strengths of two people and putting them together. So I'm open to working with anyone who has something a strength that they're proud of that I could somehow work in my method of construction or, you know, just my approach to glass with.
Heck yeah. Sweet. Good answer. So what are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Oh, man. It's forever changing. You know, when I was a kid, I feel like it would be easy because there's only like 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And rust definitely wasn't one of them. So, but nowadays, like every time I look at the internet, it seems that the collectors know about the new colors before the actual glass makers.
Yep.
So, like, I don't even know what's cool right now. Basically, like, the idea that I have from several of my artist friends is that I need to now reinvest in only transparent colors for the next year. Mm. So, basically, I'll go in that direction. But, I mean, traditionally, I like, I've always been an opaque color kind of guy. I've always liked cadmiums. I've always... You know, I'll be honest, I never mastered the art of turbo cobalt, so that's definitely not in my top 5. But Illuminati's cool if you get some that's not completely scratched up.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I don't know. Chinese fucking purple. That, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Chinese color. Tell you what, they're bootlegging every fucking pipe I made. I'm at least going to enjoy some of their color.
Oh, dude, I love it.
It's so good. And, you know, all these new colors, there's a little bit of Chinese purple in all of them. Right. So that's definitely one of my top faves. I don't know. Pretty much, man, I don't yet know what my top 5 colors are. But with that said, I'll stick with 2 if that's okay.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
I don't, you know, like jet black I've been using, but who knows, there might be 10 better blacks. I'm not a color snob.
Yeah, awesome. So if you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, whether a emotional response or just the sound itself, what is it?
One word, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. I suppose it's shit would be a good one.
Okay, yeah.
So
hell yeah, I get fuck a lot, so yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or the evolution going from fuck to oh man.
Generally, like when something breaks, I feel first anger and then relief that I can stop feeling the the anger.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice. So, what is your worst injury in the studio?
Like I've had scary injuries and I've had bad injuries. Like, you know, the lighter blowing up and removing all the arm hair. That's not really a bad injury, but it's scary as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But one time I was scoring a rod and managed to jam it kind of into my arm about 2 inches.
Holy shit.
And I was in the Netherlands, and you have to legally have insurance, and I didn't. So when I pulled the rod out, I started losing so much blood, I had to put my arm in a garbage bag and take a taxi to the hospital where I had to pretend I was a tourist. And as I was losing blood, I was forgetting that tourists don't speak Dutch or poorly. And basically, like, yeah, it took a bunch of stitches, and I was pretty pale. But I would say that was the shittiest and worst injury as far as, like, I still have a massive scar from it.
Jesus.
And it was traumatic to deal with because, you know, you forget that you're like a sack of fluids until they start coming out of you very quickly.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden shit gets real.
Man, that's the worst injury so far on the show, bro. Fuck. Let's go. Like there's been some good stories, but man, that sucks. Especially being overseas like that, like you're saying, without insurance and fuck.
Yeah, you know, I've managed to you know, deal with that sort of stuff all the time. That's part of being adventurous. You know, you don't always have that security of like, being in a padded, safe environment. You know, if you want a fucking adventure, go out there and risk some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes.
Hell yeah. So when you're in the studio, do you watch TV, listen to the radio, or do both?
So I have a very hard time with attention. So I have many different ways of overcoming my attention obstacles. None of which are medicating. Medicating on pharmaceuticals. So basically, it depends on what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. So I have a very large range of emotions. A lot of people that know me can definitely concur on that. But sometimes I want to work in absolute silence. And when I say absolute silence, like, I mean, like, I don't even want to use the ventilation sometimes. Sometimes I really just want to sit there in a deafening silence. Sometimes I want to work in a loud, disruptive environment, and I'll use music to do that. But what I find that helps me the most and is my normal go-to is I listen to a lot of world music. So it has great rhythm, but it's never in a language that I understand or that triggers my attention. So it becomes part of the background, and I'm able to function my best in this state. It puts me into a better state of flow. So world music, you know, African music, any fucking world music, really.
Nice. Yeah, I like the Beats Antique station on Pandora a lot. It's the same thing.
If you guys want, if you want a tip on like one of my favorite channels on Spotify, it's African Power !
Okay.
It is a massive playlist of music from all over Africa, ranging from like funk to traditional music, but you know, in many different languages due to all the settling that went on in Africa over the last, you know, several hundred years. But you'll have Portuguese, French, English, Afrikaans, all sorts of different languages. And it has endless possibilities for a great time in the shop. So it's African Power ! on Spotify.
Hell yeah. Thanks for that tip, dude. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, hell yeah. So our last and final question, which is always a fun one. If you were stranded on an island that had a glass studio and all you had at your use there was your gases, a kiln, and your torch, what 5 items would you bring?
Oh, man, I'd be fucked. It takes me like 16 lathes to make a one-hitter. So, I don't know. Is there, first off, seeing as I've worked on a desert island essentially before, is there going to be anyone to buy my shit anyway, or is this a rhetorical question?
It is the island of your dreams, brother. It could be an island full of naked women. It could be a resort. It could be deserted.
They'll actually buy the stuff that I'm making?
Yep.
Well, the first thing I'd want is affordable oxygen, because working in Europe is insane.
Yeah, well, that's all supplied for you. So you have oxygen, propane, your torch, and a kiln.
All right, so I need a pair of awesome 6-inch stainless steel tweezers that you could break skin with, preferably Pakistani. I need a scoring knife. I need some... Oh, shit. Man, I need too much stuff. Graphite paper, bench rollers... I get a lighter already, right? I don't need to. That's not like a evil trick.
You can find some flint rocks on the island if you need to.
All right. I would want some graphite rods, and
well, that's 5.
Yeah, that's it. I could do with just that.
So you're missing one important factor.
What's that?
Your glasses.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I'm gonna be on this island forever, right?
No, not necessarily.
All right.
I asked Coyle, and Coyle's answer was a G4, and so that way he can fly home when he's done.
Okay. I'll take glasses in that mix. So you get rid of the graphite paper. I'll find a way to like shave down graphite rods and then use some kind of form of hyper compression and make my own.
Hell yeah, there you go. And last but not least, dude, if you can give a little parting piece of advice to all the newbies and the OGs out there together, and then also how we can find you in cyberspace.
Advice for the newbies. Well, yeah, stay humble. You know, it's quite easy to start out and be really good at one particular thing and have that get it into your head that you're amazing. But anytime that you think that you've already achieved what needs to be achieved, you stop moving forward. So you should treat every day, no matter if you've been doing this 20 years or 2 years, you should treat every day as a new opportunity to become a stronger person and a stronger glass blower, and just realize that we're all really fucking lucky. because otherwise, like, we'd be pumping gas or doing any of these other things that make society function, and we're not. We're like hanging out with our dog in a garage or wherever the hell you are, living a very fortunate life. So I guess my advice is just stay humble, and that goes for everyone. And don't get me wrong, cockiness does sell a lot of shit, but that's just not my business model. So my advice would be to stay humble.
Hell yeah, well said. And now, where can we find you in cyberspace?
So my Instagram is at Terminitubes, Termini Tubes. You can find me at Karl Termini on Facebook, and my website, which is not very fantastic, is www.terminitubes.com. And I'm sure my name will be in whatever bio, so it'll be easy to find these things.
Hell yeah. You have any events or demos or anything coming up you want to share with us?
I just did a demo, and I'm working on basically I'm open to teaching this year. So if there is a facility that wants to have me as a host artist, I'm pretty easy to get along with. I know how to clean up after myself, and I have a very diverse method of working glass because of my influences in both the States and Europe for scientific work, and starting with a grassroots pipe attitude and then going back and correcting all the things I was doing over the years that were bad habits. So I have a unique thing that I can provide for people. So I'll be doing that. And I'm also really open to doing more collaborative work. I don't have a huge network of people, so I don't know everyone. So if you have an identity in glass, get a hold of me. I'd love to do something. And, that doesn't necessarily mean you learned how to do a reversal ball a week ago and, you're going to, I won't be able to really do much with that. But if you're a person that has really worked in one aspect of glass to make it the best you can, and you think that I can somehow pull that together and we can make something cool together, please contact me. I would love to do a collab or something like that. It's just, even though I'm back in the States, I still kind of feel like I'm on an island sometimes because we don't have a huge glass community here. So that would be awesome.
Hell yeah. Right on, dude. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be making a trip up there myself here in the next couple months, and I would definitely love to come by and play with you.
All right, man. Well, touch base, and thanks for having me on the show, and
Hell
keep
yeah.
doing what you're doing.
Yeah, dude, absolutely, and I hope you all enjoyed this conversation, and we will see you on the next show. Y'all take it easy. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.